What's up, everyone? Scott Bunn here. Another episode of Finding Your Place, episode 7. You know, right before we aired, I was just looking around the room and just major appreciation for the guys that's helped me put this together. Weston, Logan. Man, this place, I'm just in awe of this place. I appreciate the work you put in on this place. To have guests like Ezekiel and everybody that is saying yes to us that want to come on and be a part of this thing. I mean, we've got some great shows lined up in the future, and some major Virginia Tech folks coming on, and I'm just excited. So I just had to get that out. But today we have Ezekiel Reed in here about his goat scaping business, and I appreciate you being here. And just tell us a little bit about who you are.
I was born and raised here in Christiansburg. I was born and raised here in Christiansburg, and I helped on the family farm as a kid.
So graduated Christiansburg High School?
Yeah.
Yeah. What year graduated Christiansburg?
Class of 2019.
2019. You're a young guy.
Oh yeah, definitely. Starting out young.
Right on. So you got the farming experience. Where's the farm you grew up on? Was that in Christiansburg?
Yeah.
That's hard to find, a farm in Christiansburg.
Well, see, I had a family farm out on Mud Pike Road.
Okay.
My father lived over there, and his family, and of course I lived in Christiansburg.
Yeah.
I was down there on the weekends and all that.
Gotcha. So what kind of farming what kind of farming did you guys do?
We did it's cattle.
Okay.
They also grew hay on the side, but I wasn't too involved with
So cow
that.
farm, hay,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Right on. Well, this is very interesting. The goat scaping. Tell us about goat scaping, and what is goat scaping?
Goat scaping is utilizing goats for clearing out invasive plant species or unwanted species in areas either environmentally sensitive or areas where it's too dangerous for machinery and with people and machinery to go, and in rocky areas, and it's too steep areas where it could be dangerous to operate machinery or
Gotcha.
Walk on.
So it sounds like there's some thought behind it. It sounds like you put some thought behind it. Like how did you even come up with the idea, or is this an idea that's gone on for a long time and you just I like that. I think I can make that work. Like, just tell me about that situation.
It's a little bit of both, actually. I have friends down in North Carolina. They have a 100-acre farm, and they practice holistic management, utilizing the land and trying to do it in a herbicide-free way and all that. And I was talking to them. And they said, "Hey, you should start a goat grazing business up there." And I was like, that wasn't a bad idea. And I started looking into it, and it seemed like a wonderful idea. There's not too many people in this area doing it.
Can't imagine anybody else is doing it.
No, I get calls from North Carolina. The person who did that area, they actually recently retired, and I've been getting calls from West Virginia. The closest folks I know is Goat Busters up in Charlottesville.
Uh-huh.
And yeah.
So you travel. I mean, obviously you gotta get on. I mean, you gotta go wherever the business is. Like, this is like a good little hub, I would say, to get to wherever you need to get. If you gotta go, hundreds of miles to provide your service, I think it's pretty cool that that's going on here in the New River Valley. You don't have any New River Valley clients, do you?
Oh, I do. Actually, that's mainly what I've been focusing on.
Yeah.
Sadly, I haven't been able to serve the clients that have been calling me further away.
Gotcha.
But I want to get to that point where I can. And
well, it's great that you're covered up by local business where you don't have where you can turn that away. I mean, that's pretty awesome.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, you mentioned about like the history of goat scaping.
Right.
It mainly started on the West Coast. A lot of people were using them for fire mitigation to help prevent fires and keep underbrush down to prevent them from turning into larger fires. And, doing this across thousands and thousands of acres using human labor, that would be extremely tough. And, there's a lot of, hard to traverse land over there as well. If you ever been on the West Coast, and goats were the perfect strategy for that. And
so they can get on cliff sides and they can go into they're like the all-terrain animal.
Yeah, exactly.
Right on. Well, so you had the farming experience. You've got some clientele here in the New River Valley. How big is your operation? My
operation currently is small. I currently have about 12 goats, and I actually have 4 sheep as well, which I guess later we can talk about why I also have sheep as well.
Yeah.
But currently I'm doing smaller residential projects. Eventually I'm wanting to get into larger commercial projects as well, and doing multiple acres at a time. But most of my properties I've been dealing with have been under an acre right now.
Right on. And what's a typical fee? You bring a couple goats out there. How long do they have to stay? And what's the charge for that?
Typically I try to keep the goats. It's kind of a
case by case basis, maybe.
Case by case, exactly.
Yeah.
Goats will. It's hard for goats to Sorry, I lost my point. Yeah. It's very different for each place. Due to vegetation densities and all that stuff. Some places might not have as much, and sometimes the vegetation's taller than usual, and so mainly you kind of have to go off a basis, almost a guesstimate in a sense.
So if you have a piece of property and it's a couple acres and you're gonna have to bring 2 goats and they're probably gonna spend a couple of days or a week, it's about the time that they take that. I mean, you would anticipate that they could get through whatever they got to get through in a certain amount of time, and then you base that and try to create a price for it.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Typically we go with $50 a day for New River Valley. And plus setup fees and labor costs for installing the fence and the.
Okay, gotcha. So you put a fence around the perimeter that the goats will work in.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's solar powered, and keeps the goats in as well.
Gotcha.
Without.
So you're not letting them wander off.
No.
They would probably wander off, right?
Sometimes we do have escapees, but these escapees, they just hang out outside the fence. And oftentimes they're just looking at me like, let me back in, because they don't want to leave the herd. They're very social animals.
Okay, gotcha. So they're not just going to be alone, just wander off alone.
Yeah.
They would be a pack. It would be a decision that the pack makes.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So you're raising them. You're obviously you're trying to generate as many of these things for you to put out there as possible. Tell us about raising goats.
Raising goats. Let's see. Raising goats is it's kind of almost easy, but also difficult.
Right. How many can how many goats can it's just one at a time, right? It's like a 9-month pregnancy like humans.
I think it's about 150 days, I'd say, give or take.
Gotcha. So pretty long.
Yeah, I usually breed them in last year I bred them in September, I think, and I had them born around February or March or so.
Yeah.
I'm going to be breeding them later this year to get more warmer temperatures for them.
Gotcha.
But yeah.
I mean, how many, me being a real estate guy, how many acres do you think you need to, really run goats, like to breed and like, bring goats to maturity and like do what you're doing with them? Like how many acres do they sit on? Like how many, like what do you got them on right now?
I keep them on about 3 acres.
Yeah.
They do have access to like a larger 100-acre farm, but I don't. I don't typically keep them there because it's just really steep and it's just harder to deal with them. So I feed them hay and all that stuff. So it's almost like a lot because most of the time they're gone from there.
Mm-hmm.
But typically for goats, you could keep around 6 to 8 goats an acre. But there is like a caveat with them. See, goats are more of a browser versus a grazer. They prefer bushes and other broadleafed plants, where like such as a rose or poison ivy or autumn olive. And when it comes to grasses, typically they don't like to eat off the ground. They're much more susceptible to worms and parasites, which hibernate in the ground and also have eggs and all that stuff. So it gets a little bit more risky when you raise goats on pasture.
Gotcha.
So
and they need shelter, and you got barns set up and stuff like that, or do they just lay out in the weather like cows?
I do have trees for them to shelter under, and I also did have a cattle panel. I bent cattle panels, and I made like a tent with it and put a tarp over it. That was like maybe like a $200 shelter.
Nice.
So it wasn't bad, but the only issue with that was they started figuring out how to climb it, and they
destroyed it.
Yeah, they destroyed it. You can't have anything nice with goats.
Right on. Well, so I mean, obviously, goats would be more environmentally friendly. Like if you didn't want to burn gas and put emissions in the air and stuff like that, you'd think goats is more environmentally friendly, correct?
Yeah, goats are definitely a lot more environmentally friendly in a lot of aspects, such as like less noise, and of course, there's less pollution. You don't have to worry about using large machinery, which it can also tear up the soil and cause erosion. And there's also just not as much of an environmental disturbance. Say if you take a brush hog or have you ever seen those forestry mulchers?
Yeah.
Those could definitely tear up habitats for animals. If there's like deer in there or something like that, that would be very unfortunate. And turtles and all that stuff, tortoises, it'd be hard for them to escape from such a thing. And, goats won't bother them.
Right.
And so environmentally sensitive areas are definitely a lot more that they're more open to benefits from goats than heavy machinery.
Right. Do you think it's more cost effective to use goats than it is to use the modern equipment?
I think goats on a larger scale are typically more cost effective, especially over thousands of acres of land.
Yeah.
Like on the West Coast. When it comes to residential projects, I'd say it's about the same.
Yeah.
But if you did have a steep hill, like a steep rocky hill or something like that, I think that's where you see a cost benefit.
Right.
About using goats.
Gotcha. So if it's just a regular little postage stamp flat, it might not be as a cost effective. But if you've got a rocky situation, or you got some mountainside or a cliffside or something like that, that would put wear and tear on your equipment. The goats would be the way to go.
Like there's like some new machinery out, like robotic slope mowers. Like these seem like a great idea and all that. But the blades, if you put those blades on a rocky slope, you'll probably lose your money having to replace those blades and all that. But that won't bother goats at all. And in fact, they like to play on the rocks and all that stuff.
Have the goats ever been too full to finish a job? Like do they get just tired of grazing or whatever it is?
I've only had that issue with jobs where I've had them eat grass. Really, they if they start seeing broadleaf plants outside of the fence, they'll be a little bit more angsty to escape and all that. But otherwise, they've never been too full to finish a job. Because they pretty much, that's what they do full time, is just eat, due to the low calories that plants have. So they have to eat a lot to get through a day.
So they can get distracted if something else is getting their attention outside of the field that you set, the parameters that you set. They can get distracted and not get into the job at hand. Maybe that could be. It's a possibility, right?
Yeah, it's a possibility. Normally, my goats are trained. I've only had maybe 2 or 3 escapes last year, and this year I haven't had any.
Yeah. And are goats trainable? Like you said, like if they're being distracted on something, can you like check them and get them back to work?
No. Well, like the main distractions, I think that could really like be a concern to them is mainly like predators, such as like a dog barking at them, or a bee's nest that they might find. That could easily distract them. They might not clear out an area due to like a pressure like that.
Gotcha. So they might avoid something they think is a threat.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Gotcha.
Let's
see.
I got a question about goat yoga. What is goat yoga?
From what I'm not too informed on the topic, but from what I've seen, it's people using goats as kind of a therapy in a sense to help goats. Well, not help goats, but help people relax. And that there has been studies that prove that goats and other animals can release oxytocin and other things that benefit the human body.
Gotcha. Interesting.
Like they definitely help emotions and all that.
So, I mean, a goat as a pet is a goat. You do see people getting goats as pets. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been seeing that lately. Also, you did ask a question about goats being trainable.
Yeah.
I forgot to get to that. So goats, they're as smart as a dog, actually, and you can train them in a sense. You can't potty train them, though. They can't control their bowel movements, which is that's another thing with goat yoga. You got to accept that there's a risk right there. But it's mostly just pebbles, so it's nothing that would really stick on you.
That's hilarious.
And what was the other question you asked earlier about pet goats?
Yeah, pet goats. That's right.
Yeah, I've been noticing pet goats have been becoming a increasing trend, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
They're becoming pretty popular.
Right on. If people want to get goats to help maintain their property, what are some advice you'd give them?
I would say not get goats, actually. Because another thing I mentioned is, with goats, they will slowly eradicate a plant species, especially broadleaves.
Yeah.
Grasses can recover a lot better, and eventually that's what you'll have in your fields or where you keep the goats on your property.
Yeah.
And that's when it comes in, where sheep will be more beneficial for you to take care of a property over goats, because eventually the species that, the goats will eradicate them, especially autumn olive and all that might be growing on your property.
Gotcha.
Sheep are grazers and browsers. They will eat stuff that's closer to the ground, while goats prefer stuff above the ground. And they're also less susceptible to escaping as well.
Gotcha. Yeah. So they're less mobile. They're less capable, probably, right? They don't move as well as a goat, right?
Yeah, they can jump, but and that they're used to like they also traverse the same terrain that a goat will, but they're less susceptible to escaping.
Yeah.
They just go with the flow.
Gotcha. How are you trying to gain awareness around your business to get more business?
I have been mainly using word of mouth right
Yeah.
now. I've been wanting to get into advertising
Yeah.
and all that stuff. I've been using a Facebook page, and I'm still setting up a internet page as well. And there's also rent. What's the website called? There's a website that I also use as well, and it puts you on a map for goat rentals near you, pretty much.
Oh yeah.
And I've been getting a lot of work from that.
Right. I always ask this question because I want to know if every one of my guests is on TikTok, and I think your business would be interesting to do on TikTok. So
Yeah, I've been meaning to get a TikTok. It just hasn't been at the top of my list lately. Still trying to set up all the administrative and all that sort of stuff in my business, getting it organized. But I definitely do want to get started on a TikTok.
Yeah, that social media stuff is like it's free. It'll boost you out there. It'll bring awareness to you that you need. I always encourage my guests, if they're not on these things and they're trying to get attention, that's the best place to go get it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And just the goats, if you have them out on a property, especially in a town.
I bet there's some hilarious moments like the goat eating some kind of crazy stuff that you could capture and just blow up. So
yeah.
Yeah. What's the craziest thing you've seen the goat eat?
I've seen them eat thistles, just spiky thistles, and I'm like, how you doing that, man? Like, how is that not cutting up your tongue?
Right.
And it's amazing what they can do, and they can survive off some very weird looking plants.
Right. That is I would like to see that in action. We're gonna have to come out and check that out one day.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. All right, man. I'm gonna transition into a segment we call Myth or Facts in Your Field, and I'm just gonna read a statement, and then you're gonna say if that's a fact or myth, and just kind of go deeper into what you know about the statement. Okay. So goats can clear out poison ivy.
Yes, they can. In fact, they did it pretty well on some jobs. I have some before and after pictures if you'd like to see that.
Yeah. Send them our way. That's probably a big deal where humans don't want to touch it. They don't get it wrapped up in their equipment. They don't and send a goat in there and clear it out because they're going to eat it all, right?
Oh yeah, they enjoy it. Another thing though is it takes about 2 or 3 years of bringing the goats back in order to completely eradicate and weaken a plant.
Gotcha.
To especially the perennial species that come back year after year.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're really educated about the thing. How did you go about getting so educated about what you're doing?
Well, I found me a mentor on the subject. Knox Goats in Knoxville. The guy's been very helpful with me. Keith Bridges. I've been very grateful to have him. He's given me all kinds of tips, and there's also other goat renters in the community.
So there's actually a community that you're a part of, and you get to learn from and talk with.
Oh yeah, we're all learning because this is just such a new industry and all that we're trying to get established. We've been around. I think the earliest media coverage of goat prescribed grazing. That's what we call it.
Yeah,
it has been around 20 years, 25 years or so.
Cool. Right on. All right, next one. Goats will eat anything, cans, shirts, anything. They'll eat anything.
They will nibble on stuff like that. They might bite at your shirt or pants or something like that, but I've never seen them like actually eat it. I think it's more just out of curiosity, like, what's this?
Right.
Over, oh, this is food. And they can eat. They will eat like woody debris and like straw and all that if they need like a roughage in their stomachs, and the ruminant, they have 4 stomachs.
Wow.
If they need that to help digest their food and all that.
Cool. All right. Goats are aggressive.
Males in the rut season, which is about the same time as deer around here, they can get particularly aggressive due to the testosterone in them, and maybe some more dominant females in a herd. They can get aggressive as well, especially if there's no respect established between you and the herd members.
Gotcha.
What we do sometimes if a goat is being uncooperative and wants to headbutt me or anything like that, is I'll flip them over and hold them there for about as long as they until they stop struggling, and then I let go of them and let them get up and walk away. It's like the least stressful way to make respect between me and the goats.
Gotcha. So you're looking that's like your dominance over them. When you do that to them, then they just get out of all their energy, and then they finally calm down, and then you can and then they'll just go away.
Yeah.
Nice. I'd like to see a video of that. That would be viral TikTok content there. All right. Goats are tough to contain.
They can be. As long as you can give them what they need, and if the pastures aren't greener on the other side, they typically stay in. Sometimes there is times where they get curious and they want to get out, but as long as you give them their food and water, they usually don't escape. Now, if you keep them in the same place, and you don't have them, like you do need a lot more of an intensive fencing setup versus sheep and cows.
Yeah.
For goats, because they can get crafty about escaping. But like electric also works really well with them. But typically I never have escapes, especially when it comes to as long as I'm giving them all they want to eat and all that.
Sure. Only male goats have a beard.
They can all have beards. Even the females. I have a couple of females with beards, actually.
All right, so we're going into the next section here called Behind the Picture, and Logan's going to put a picture up here. You're going to tell us where this is and what's going on with this picture.
So this was a job we did earlier this year in Floyd County. We were helping clear out vines in the rocks and these boulders right here where, it was kind of hard to traverse. Like that was like I say that those rocks were about 14 feet high, and the goats were clearing out the vines inside of them and all that.
So they're going to get down in there and they're going to clear that out, or no? Like that's just wood. That's just wood, right?
Yeah, that wood right there had a bunch of leaves on it. Actually,
okay.
I wish I could have had a better before picture of that, but that they can definitely do some damage.
Gotcha. So obviously they're not going to get the wood. It'll be on maybe the owner to come back and clear out that wood.
Yeah.
Okay. But they just got all the vegetation off of it. That's pretty awesome. And how many? So I see 2 goats here. Is that all that took to clear this thing?
No, I had about 10 other goats on the property. These 2 were kids from this year actually that were going around, and they were playing.
Yeah.
They loved to play on them rocks when I was down in this job in Floyd.
Gotcha. That's pretty cool. All right. Well, That's pretty much the show. I appreciate all the information. We want to help boost you and put you out there. That's why we had you on here. We're trying to bring the local business community here and push their content and help them grow. So hopefully, this can be a launching point for where you can maybe use some of this or get some awareness that you might not have had otherwise. And I appreciate you being on. Where can people find you? Give them your contact information. Direct them to wherever you want them to go, and then we'll just kind of wrap it up.
My number is 540-835-4282. I also have an email, Ezekiel Reed at BlueRidgeGoatScaping.com. The website is currently down. I'm still trying to find someone who can work on that for me.
Yeah.
And let's see. I also have a Facebook page. That's what I've been mainly active using right now, and I also receive messages from that, which I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone has if they message me on that.
Honestly, Facebook, you can get to where you can get a long way with just Facebook. Just pushing content daily and taking good pictures and putting that stuff out there on a daily basis. That's really how I developed my business. I was just giving positive content. I would layer that with real estate stuff, and here we are.
Yeah.
So anything that we can do to inspire you or give you advice, check in with us if you have questions. I mean, I've developed websites. Weston and I are collaborating in a major way to kind of do the things that you need to do.
Yeah.
So if you ever have any questions, certainly use this as a resource. We'd love to help you out.
Okay.
And man, I really appreciate you being on. As things progress, keep checking in with us.
Yeah.
I'd love to come and see, be on site one day and get some content. You're just out there with you one day. So we'll keep in touch. All right.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be great.
Cool. All right. So next week we've got one of our very special guests coming on, Jessie Shout. She's a real estate client of mine that bought a property that is pretty much like her dream property. I'm excited to talk about that and talk about her flower business that she's developing on that property. So tune in next week. If you have any comments for Ezekiel, put them down in the comment section. Please like and subscribe and share our content. And we appreciate you guys watching, and we'll see you next week.